Hey everybody, I am just using the opportunity to test out StreamYard today, which we're going to be using for our Musty Wargamers show. And I wanted to do a video on French Indian wargaming news and a couple of things that I have to share for folks that are into Muskets and Tomahawks and Sharp Practice or other games. And I figured this would be a great time to test it, do a live stream, and announce the stuff I was going to announce, or at least provide some info. And so many of you know that I'm actually quite into black powder as far as wargaming. I've been playing Muskets and Tomahawks for quite some time, and a little bit of Sharp Practice, hoping to do more of that actually. And I'm going to start by actually mentioning some info that I actually have about Crann Tara Miniatures. And Crann Tara Miniatures are actually adding some French Indian war miniatures to their line. Now, for those of you that don't know, Crann Tara Miniatures, one of the primary sculptors is actually Richard Ansell, who also does Minden miniatures. And so really, these are done really, as far as I know, exactly the same scale and same level of detail that we see in Minden miniatures, which I've always touted as my personal choice for my collection, like the one I've gravitated to. Many great collections of miniatures out there for French Indian War. I've used a couple of different kinds, but I've decided to kind of go with the Minden style, and it's really the Richard Ansell style of sculpting, because I want them all to be kind of somewhat similar, because I really like that. And so I have been in touch with Graham, and he actually shared with me that prior to even when they started being sculpting, that he was looking at doing this. And the first group that are actually being sculpted right now, and they may even be finished, because I know at this point, but I'm not sure, but French Indian Marines are actually being done by Crann Tara, by Richard Ansell, and they're going to actually match up with my Minden regulars and things that I have. So I'm really quite excited about that. It'll be the first time that I've really gotten a kind of light troop skirmishing kind of unit, not a rank and file design primarily unit, from this sort of line of Richard Ansell's miniatures. And so really excited about that. I know that there's plans in the works to also do Native Americans, Indians as well. I'm really hoping that there'll be options that will look kind of like Iroquois with that headdress style, or that kind of garb, as well as some of the perhaps Huron or Ottawa style miniatures as well. And so that'll be a total first, for these kinds of sculpts for these line of miniatures. And so I'm really excited about that. That's kind of a great thing for French Indian wargaming, to be able to add that and use these miniatures now for that. As well, he mentioned Coeur d'Ivoire, I believe I pronounced that correct, as a potential option. And, I kind of discussed with him maybe the idea of some Roberts Rangers or some Rangers, just sort of a British counterpart for like a skirmishing unit in the game as well. So really, I'm really excited about this. It's not something that I thought was going to happen. And so, when you were expecting something to happen and you see it happen, that's, you think that that's awesome. But when you kind of think that's not going to happen, that's not really the plan for these miniatures, the style of games they're being made for, then it's even that much more exciting. What I'm going to do is I'm just using this StreamYard today. You'll see StreamYard right up there. It's the streaming service that we're going to use for our Musty Wargamers show. And I'm actually going to try to share my screen. Just bear with me a moment so I can show you the Crann Tara website real quick, just in case of you are not familiar with it. So hopefully you can see that. I'll just click over here and see if you can. It looks like I am sharing. So hopefully you can see that. And so it is crantaraminiatures.co.uk. And yeah, like miniatures should be up here. You'll see that they have the 45th Rebellion, War of Austrian Succession, fife and drum Minden miniatures as well. And so flags, equipment. And so I'm guessing they'll be available on this website. And yeah, I know my friend Ralph Astley has also bought miniatures from Crann Tara, who's really quite happy with them as well. We've discussed how we like the sculpting and the detail on them. And so it'll be really exciting to have these added for French Indian War miniatures. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about today is something I've been talking about for quite some time, and I think we're close to potentially being here now, and that is Musket and Tomahawks version 2. Now, I should have looked this up before doing this stream. I think that Musket and Tomahawks came out in the area of 2010, maybe it was 2012. It's something like that. I'm thinking closer to 2010, but in any case, it's been a while since that version. I've talked about it quite a bit, how I think, as much as I love the game exactly as it is, I do think that because it was done early on in their kind of product development for Studio Tomahawk, that we would really benefit from a book that is of the quality, both in the content and editorial content and the sort of writing of it, as well as the production of the materials. Because I really love Studio Tomahawk stuff, and I think that they've really improved over the years quite a bit. And they're I don't really believe it's their flagship game. I think we all know that Saga is their flagship game if you look at the amount of stuff they put out there. But if you look at their first game that they've done, and one of the games that many people still play today is Musket and Tomahawks. And so before I talk about I've talked a lot about my hopes for the game, and I'm not going to really make that the focus during this live stream. But what I am going to do is just talk quickly about the couple of things that makes me think why we're actually going to be likely getting it in the nearer future now, and that is probably coming. And that is, for a while now, we've had direct reports from folks either through email or speaking with folks at developers at Studio Tomahawks that it's coming. And so it's been said for a while, because it did go out of production. It's been some time now out of production, the book. You can't buy it anymore, and the book came with the cards. And so it's been kind of word of mouth, from folks that run Facebook pages, from folks that are on the forums, just various people I've heard that it's coming, but nothing really concrete, like no official news or anything like that. Well, recently, and I'm going to share screen again, I'm going to go to Studio Tomahawk's Facebook page, just some pictures that they put on there. So let me just share here. So hopefully you can see, yes, my screen and the photos. So we have quite a number of photos of what they have here in the top left corner is Muskets and Tomahawks 1812. Now you might say 1812 is going to be a game for the War of 1812. Well, they also have some American War of Independence as well. Now, they were talking about shakos and bayonets as a potential option where we were going to get a Napoleonic skirmishing type game. I never knew really what periods were going to be covered. You would think with Tomahawks being in the name, if that's how it's named, then we're definitely at least looking at French-Indian War, primarily American War of Independence. That's my hope, because this is a French-Indian War gaming stream. However, I do think it's great if we can actually have other Black Powder periods in there, like Sharp Practice, just hoping we keep a lot of the flavor of the original game too. So here we have some great looking miniatures for the War of 1812. I'm just going to skip through some of these. They're showing more War of 1812. We've got some cavalry here with sabers. Got, some command here, both mounted and dismounted, still War of 1812. Now, they're showcasing these miniatures. And this game, as we talked about, has been out for a very long time. It's not been released in a very long time. And so they're actually obviously adding to their collections. And you'd wonder why. Why would they be doing that? And we have some more infantry here, War of 1812. We have some natives. This could, potentially be used for multiple periods, to be honest. And looks like we have, I'm guessing, some Rangers there. Yeah, so it looks like we have potentially militia. We're still looking at more of 1812 character models. Now we have American War of Independence. And so we actually have some artillery here. Looks like potentially some continental artillery, cavalry, beautiful painted miniatures. I believe these are Perrys. We have, looks like Continentals. As you can see here, there's just a lot of photos they've uploaded. Looks like more Continentals, possibly. Potentially more Rangers for American War of Independence. There we got the Continental Army. So I'm just going to start skipping through some of these because we just have quite a bit. And you can go on Facebook and look on their site. I think we might be towards the end here. We have the, guessing that's George Washington, or at least a leader. Yeah, so now we're back in their photo stream to the Grand Melee. So I am going to stop sharing here. And looks like we actually have Studio Tomahawk in the discussion here, which is wonderful because I'd not scheduled this and they just kind of happened to be here. And they're saying Perry Miniatures and it can be Washington. Well, hello. Thanks for the correction. And then we also have another gentleman here that's saying, is this supposed to be Washington? Who's the manufacturer? And as was confirmed above, Perry Miniatures. And so, yeah, so this is extremely exciting, and really even more exciting that we actually have someone in the house for Studio Tomahawk, which is great. And so now I'm going to just go back to my regular screen here. You should just see me in the regular screen. And looks like, oh, you know, they're not actually announced. This is their comments from their photo. I'm sorry. That's kind of funny. That just shows my goofiness here. I actually saw some things come up, or I saw some things on the right in the picture I was looking at. I thought they were in the chat on the right of my screen. So Studio Tomahawks didn't just miraculously appear, but yeah, so this is really kind of exciting. And what do I think of it? I mean, it likely has a direction already. And so, you know, I don't really think I'm not planning on trying to influence with this broadcast any sort of directions with this. I've long talked about my thoughts on the YouTube channel. My main thing that I hope for, I really enjoy Sharp Practice, and I really enjoy Muskets and Tomahawks. I enjoy both games. One of the things that I've really always liked about Muskets and Tomahawks is the strong French Indian War flavor. A lot of the rules for boats and in rivers, and you know, just a lot of the special rules, you know, for natives within the game that really give it that wonderful French Indian War flavor for a game. And so I have seen other games, and I've said this often, that I've seen other games that they produce like Congo, which I didn't necessarily buy. I actually kind of invested more in Saga, but I kind of admired from afar, and I watched other people playing the game and seeing the development of the materials for it. And I thought, that looks very much like a direction you could take with Muskets and Tomahawks, and the way the book was produced, and the way the game was still kind of not as like made it in a generic fashion, but a very specific fashion for a period. And I really quite like that. And so, yeah, I don't know what you guys think. I'm just doing, like I said, just a quick broadcast just to essentially share, for those of you that didn't know about these Facebook posts or not following the forums, where there was at least one individual that got an email recently from Studio Tomahawk that actually said that it is coming, like the next edition. And so I think a combination of these things together means it's likely is coming. And yeah, you know, my plans for my gaming is to continue to play Muskets and Tomahawks, you know, with the old rules, and actually play a bit more with Sharp Practice. I have a lot more Minden miniatures that I'm still painting. Many of you saw my regulars that I did right before the summer, my British regulars. I have a few of those, or maybe 8 to 10 to finish of those still, because I had to replace them, and I have some artillery to do. And then I'm planning on hitting my French quite heavily to be able to do really about the same amount of miniatures for them with artillery and some other things. And so, yeah, I'm actually really psyched to continue and do more French Indian War gaming. And yeah, I'm really excited about the news. I both in some ways, because I have Muskets and Tomahawks and I can play it, and I'm looking forward to another edition. But in some ways, I'm most excited about seeing Richard Ansell, you know, sculpted miniatures for French Indian War period, and that was something that had me really ecstatic. And so, yeah, well, hope you guys kind of enjoyed a little bit of this news, and hopefully this StreamYard streaming has worked out well. And talk to you later.